I always seem to record these videos on like rainy, gloomy days, which is kind of nice, right? If it's the vibe, let me lower this light here. How's everybody doing? I know it's been a couple weeks since that first video came out, which I was very happy with. Huge thank you to everybody who watched that, who supported that, who hit me up afterwards, checking it out. I got a ton of comments from people that were like, I love the kind of like chill coffee with a friend vibe. And it's kind of exactly what I was going for. So I'm happy to see that that was conveyed in that video. Heavily inspired by Elliot Cohen. Make sure you go check out his stuff. Absolutely wonderful guy, just incredible passion and knowledge for film. But he really developed this chill style of discussing film that I love so much. I can't get enough of his videos always. But today I wanted to just kind of come in and kind of talk about what I was watching. This is what this vlog is. It's just like here's what I've been watching. We are neck deep in prep for Beyond the Blood podcast season 2, where we're going to be kicking off with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. So we're deep in prep for that. So I'm sure that's going to be taking up a lot of time over the next couple of months. But I want to make sure when I sit down to record that I've taken the full the full impact of the release. I want to make sure that I can talk about the bonus features. I could talk about the booklet. I could talk about all of that stuff before I come on. So that takes a lot of time. So while I watch a lot of titles, I'm not ready to discuss a lot of them yet because I haven't fully, they've taken that plunge into it yet. So I have 4 titles. 2 are kind of like the big main ones. 2 are just kind of what I watched that I have some thoughts on now. So I want to start off with an animated title. A couple weeks ago, I was on the Reconnected show, which is hosted by Ryan from the Disconnected, who owns Someone's Favorite Productions, which our podcast Beyond the Blood is now a part of that podcast network. So I'm very, very, very proud to say that. I was on his show and we were covering some upcoming releases from Deaf Crocodile, and I had made a statement that I was not too familiar with animation. I've never seen a lot. And next thing I know, I get a message from Deaf Crocodile, and they're like, hey, man, we need to fix that. So they were incredibly kind. They were like, we're going to send out a care package of some titles for you to check out. And they sent me 5 of their limited edition releases, which they distribute through DiabolikDVD. But so incredibly nice. I can't thank them enough. If you are a collector, check out Deaf Crocodile. Beautiful, beautiful releases, incredible people. And Someone's Favorite Productions, Ryan and Will Dotson actually are on a ton of them, including one we're going to talk about real quick today. So I have all 5 of those releases over there. I was like, how do I dive into this? So I was like, I'll just start with the first one. So the one that happened to be on top was this right here. This is Gwen and the Book of Sand. Check out this slip box real quick there, if it'll focus. Look how beautiful that is. And it's a nice hard box. There is the back. And this is from 85, if I remember correctly. Let me slide this out and double check. I think it's from 1985. And this is a 64-minute long animated film. It's French. To kind of explain this plot to you, I feel like would be doing a bit of a disservice. At only 64 minutes in length, this essentially tells the story of the Earth after the gods have left. They've abandoned humanity, and in their departure, storms and fires ravage the Earth, and all that's left is sand. And select people who survive now live in this sand. And at night, a monster appears, and in his wake every night, they find consumer objects of various sizes all about the landscape. Like, it could be gardening tools, tubs, kitchen sinks, but sometimes they're massive, sometimes they're really small. And we follow a female character named Gwen after a boy she falls in love with is taken by this monster. And that's incredibly surface level, right? That does nothing. It adds no value, right, to how much I'm going to encourage you to watch this movie. The animation style is incredible, particularly for me the second half. I don't know if you would call them set pieces, but there is some incredible imagery in the second half of this film that I absolutely loved, especially as they get closer and closer to attempting to find the missing character. And I think, in the grand scheme of things, starting off a journey into animation like this was perfect, right? It was great that this was on top, because this was such a great entry level experience for me that I loved. I was locked in. There wasn't a moment during the hour and 5-minute runtime that I felt like a little out of it, or just kind of, wasn't into it. I was into it the whole entire time. And one big piece of that was the music. I absolutely love the score for this film. It's such a beautiful relationship between the visual and the audio experience, and the audio experience of the score for this movie, which is an original score, pairs perfectly. It's incredible. There is some really creepy imagery in here. There's some really beautiful imagery, great use of lights. There's a lot of really good dimension, which I really loved. That kind of made it feel, made it feel deeper, right? Made it feel beyond just an animated film. So I really appreciated that. And this is a 4K. So in this clear case, there's a 4K and a Blu-ray. And one thing that I love, Deaf Crocodile does a beautiful job with their bonus features, right? When you're diving into a genre, into kind of unknown territory for the first time, bonus features are understanding, right? They help you begin to fill out what you've just seen. They kind of help you, don't know what the term I'm looking for is, but really fill out that experience and help teach you, much like does in general, but especially when you're diving into something new. And there's not a ton of bonus features on this release, but the ones that we get are really, really good. There's a brand new video interview with the director, Jean-Francois Lagioni. I'm butchering that. I'm sorry. But this is actually moderated by Dennis Bartok of Deaf Crocodile. It's an hour and 5 minutes long, and it's long because there's a translation. So the director is French, there's a translator, and then you have Dennis asking the questions, which he does an incredible job with. So that a big chunk of that hour and 5 minutes is that the act of translating it and kind of getting it, for you to understand. But such a great interview. I don't want to kind of ruin it all for you, but when he talks about how emotionally resonant this film is for him as a filmmaker now, looking back after all these years, not just because of the film's impact, but because of the process, it's a beautiful thing. And it really helps you understand kind of what the mindset was going into this film, and that lasting effect as well, moving on in his career. So incredibly happy this has been kind of rediscovered and restored in the way that it has been. Also on this disc, we have a brand new essay by Ryan Verrill and Will Dotson. It's about 25 minutes in length, and it is a beautiful, beautiful essay about time and a lot of the kind of, how do I explain it? A lot of the overarching ideas behind this film. And the essay I actually found a bit overwhelming on the first watch of it, and then I took some time, went back and watched it again, and I had a much better understanding. But if you're into very clinical essays, this is one to watch. Dr. Will Dotson is incredible with this work, and he does amazing stuff. And him and Ryan absolutely created a beautiful companion piece to this film, I would go as far as to say. And then there is a new commentary on here by film historian Sam Deegan, which I will be going back to watch sometime soon. So this does contain new art by Beth Morris, but of course with these Deaf Crocodile limited editions, you do get a 60-page perfect bound booklet. And this I really liked because the first chapter, the first setup is actually an essay and behind the scenes write up and production notes from the director about the film. and that takes up 16 pages of this. And then you also have two great essays, one by Jennifer Linda Barker and the other one by Walter Shaw, notes on the restoration as well. So worth the read. Let me see if I can kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. Kind of looks like that there if it's focusing. Definitely worth the read. And again, bonus features, it's understanding. And between the interview, between the essay and the booklet, I really came around to kind of understanding this film better than I did on that first initial watch. So if you're interested in this, it is still available. The limited edition is still on DiabolikDVD. Make sure you go and check that out. Oh, my case is getting weird here. But yeah, I was very happy to watch Gwen and the Book of Sand from Deaf Crocodile. I almost forgot that part. Deaf Crocodile. Thank you again. So going back to watch things that have landed in the collection I haven't really had a chance to check out for whatever reason. I ended up sitting down and finally watching this 4K release of The Incredible Melting Man from Vinegar Syndrome. This was part of their releases with MGM. First of all, this slipcover. Look at that. This is awesome. There's the back. And if I remember correctly, this is from 77. Yeah. Directed by William Sachs. Incredible makeup effects by Rick Baker, kind of an earlier appearance from him. And The Incredible Melting Man tells the story of an astronaut who goes into space to attempt to explore the rings of Saturn, and he ends up getting poisoned by this radiation. When he gets back to Earth, he essentially becomes an incredible melting man and just goes on a rampage through this small town. And I had so much cheesy fun with this. I mean, it's really funny because in the bonus features, you learn essentially this was meant to be a comedy. And clearly the producers wanted a straight up horror movie, so that's what it became eventually. But it's literally just a romp through like victim to victim to victim. We do follow a doctor as well as an army general and the local police force trying to kind of track this man down and find him. But throughout the whole movie, he's gradually melting more, or he's supposed to be. He's more just kind of like, in the words of Rick Baker, ooping and glooping his way through the movie. But there's these fantastic horror moments, right? And incredible gross gore, like really, really, really nasty stuff. But then there's these like really odd bits of humor that you can tell were kind of part of the original formation of the film. Supposedly there was an editor that came in and kind of made it all kinds of wacky. The second editor came in and he was the one who finally figured it out. But producers forced them to kind of shoot this straight up horror movie, but that humorous undertone kind of comes out sometimes, and you don't really know if it's because of the acting or if it's kind of meant to be funny. You're not really too sure about that. But it makes for an incredible experience. The highlight for me being those makeup effects, and there is one of the most insane electrocution scenes I have ever witnessed in my life in this movie. I don't know how they did it. I need to watch the commentary and just fast forward to that part to kind of listen to see if he can give any insight to it. It's so brutal, so nasty. Even when I was watching the bonus features and they played that clip over an interview, again, I was like, oh, it's when you see it, like it's fucking awesome. But really, like, especially if you're afraid of, electricity like me, just kind of imagine it's really, really, really gross. But this 4K transfer looks incredible, man. Like, so good. Even the Blu-ray, when I put on to watch the bonus features, I just kind of put on a random scene. It looked incredible, man. This is what restoration is about, bringing back these kind of forgotten about but loved by so many films, right? These cult classics. And Vinegar Syndrome just did a wonderful job with this. Now, as far as bonus features go, you don't get a ton on here again, but they're really good. There is a brand new interview with director William Sachs. Very high energy guy, and the interview was more fun than it was educational, because I could listen to this guy. This interview was only 25 minutes, or like 31 minutes, I think. But just listening to this guy kind of recap his career and the stuff that he went through in a time period that we'll never live near again. Just the experiences that he's had, his his adventure, it's the only word I can think of, leading up to becoming a filmmaker is insane. Unfortunately, I feel like that period of time is gone. You'll know once you watch the interview, but it was a very good interview. Not the most educational as far as you're trying to learn about the movie, a lot of the insights, a little bit, but a lot of fun nonetheless. Then we have Just Show Up, which is a brand new interview with then second unit script supervisor Sandy King, who we know is producer John Carpenter's wife, and she gives some really great fun insights about the chaotic nature of this production. She kind of talks about the crew sitting around. At one point, there were 4 units shooting stuff at a time, and they had multiple melting men because there were so many units. So you would be shooting this melting man scene over here, this one over here. One would be like missing the wrong side ear, and it was just so chaotic, as it usually is with these low budget productions. But kind of hearing her call back, to this time now as the renowned producer that she is, she looks back at it with very high spirits, and I can kind of tell, I feel like she kind of longs for these days, even though they were more chaotic, she kind of longs for them. So it was a great interview. I always love her. She has such a great presence during the interviews. And then there's also an archival interview featurette on here with William Sachs and Rick Baker. William Sachs, again, is just sort of the same nature as the interview. You're not really learning too much, but Rick Baker, with his calm demeanor, gives great insights to, behind the scenes, how he wanted this movie to be and essentially how it turned out and kind of his inspirations for it. What I love most is hearing him talk about how working under him, he had Rob Bottin, who, went on only 4 years later to do The Thing, and did incredible work. And then Greg Canham as well, having him, work under him. And Rick Baker is so much fun to hear him kind of discuss this stuff. It's about a 15-minute featurette, 100% worth the time. And then to round it out, there's a 3-minute little archival interview with makeup effects artist Greg Canham. Could you have gone without it? Sure, but it's complete. It doesn't really give a lot of information, but it just kind of gives some brief insight. He again talks about Rob Bottin and sort of the process of how do you create a melting man? What are the layers that you put into it? So, the standout in this movie is these effects. It is the titular melting man. So getting those insights was a lot of fun. This is a great release. I'm so happy I came across this, man. I'm so happy. And then heading away from the big titles into the smaller stuff that I watched, my wife and I sat down and we watched Hell House Origins, the Carmichael Manor. Found footage to me is kind of like fast food, right? It's very satisfying in the moment. You get an experience with it. It's very good. You have fun, but it doesn't really last with you. Some do. I'm not saying that all of it, but there's a good chunk that do. But for the most part, it's sort of like a in and out experience. You know what I mean? For me, mostly forgettable. The first Hell House, sorry, I have something going on with my nose. The first Hell House I really, really enjoyed. The second I liked. The second film for me really got into the territory of great scares, great horror, terrible everything else. The characters just couldn't stand into it, and that kind of affects the overall experience. Hell House Origins rules. This still does the found footage, but this movie has fantastic visuals. It's very patient. It feels like taking the franchise, slowing it down while filling in that backstory very well and not going after those relentless scares. And that's really what helped me find myself much more attached to this film. This is a mod, by the way, that I got before that Umbrella release of the film. Maybe it's because we left Abaddon Hotel and now we're going into the Manor, but this made me very, very excited for what's to come with, I think it's Hell House Lineage, which is not going to be found footage, but you can pretty much see Stephen Cognetti's maturity as a director really take a jump here, in my opinion, from Lake of Fire to Carmichael Manor. Some of the scares with here genuinely stuck with me. I love the story. I really enjoyed the characters. It was effective. I thought about it the next day, which most found footage horror I don't. So yeah, had a ton of fun with this, man. Really, really liked it. So like I said, some great visual stuff. The movie shot super well for being found footage, very well. Um, and then the last one I watched is a John Carpenter title, and I was talking about this on my Instagram just a couple of days ago. I rewatched They Live, which is still one of my favorites. This Scream Factory 4K is a work of art. This movie looks beautiful, looks stunning. My biggest takeaway this time is my caption on Instagram for this was it was like directed in 1988, most relevant in 2025. I'm not a political guy. I don't really pay attention to politics. I don't voice my political fare, but there's a haunting resonance to certain events occurring today in the political world that scream very loud in this movie. And I think that that's a testament to, I often hear critics or film historians say that a lot of filmmakers had their finger on the pulse of what was to come. And I don't believe that as much as I just believe that not much changes. You know, the faces change and the names change and the all of the aesthetics of the political climate change, right? It looks different. It sounds different, but the inherent problems never go away. It seems to be the same thing over and over and over again, which is the biggest sin of it all. And I just think that the political agenda in 88 compared to 2025 is no different. It's just fancier. There's more phones involved, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overanalyzing. That's just my opinion. But yeah, this is such an incredible rewatch. Probably my favorite John Carpenter movie. And if you're not going into this for any political point of view, which by the way, I was not looking for, right? Clearly it's there. We know it's there. So I didn't go in there looking for it. I found it just from, within the first 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, this could take place in 2025. And yeah, that would make sense, right? But yeah, this great Scream Factor always does a great job with the interviews. I think there's pretty much nothing new on here, right? From the Blu-ray, I don't think so. I do want to go back and watch the audio commentary with Roddy Piper and John Carpenter. I always go back and do the commentaries later because I don't want to, feel like, oh, I'm watching the movie twice and there's other stuff I want to watch, but I will go back and watch that commentary eventually. So They Live. Watch this in 2025. It's scarier than any horror movie you're going to find out there right now. I'm telling you that right now. So that's the lineup. That's not bad, right? Pretty good little chunk of stuff fully gone through. I want to thank Deaf Crocodile again for sending me that care package. It's incredible. I'm going to be covering many more animated movies going forward. Because of that. And plus I have 4 more in the stack to watch and dive into as well. If you are a fan of our podcast, the Beyond the Blood podcast, we just are Monday. So today, coinciding with this, we are releasing our season 2 preview episode. We're going to be talking about everything coming for the remainder of the year. And then next week, we're going to be releasing our After Hours, which is our physical media focused episode. If you don't know what Beyond the Blood is, it's a commentary. It's a podcast that I host with my buddy Steve from After Hours Video and one of my best friends, Chuck. And we essentially deep dive and discuss movies using their audio commentaries as the base. So inherently, it's a show that is revolving around physical media. So audio commentaries, bonus features, all that stuff. Very important to me, as you could tell through this discussion. I want to thank everyone for coming back and, watching the videos. Thanks for the positive words. I hope you get the chance to pick up Gwen in a Book of Sand if that sounds interesting. The Incredible Melting Man. Maybe watch that 4th Hell House movie if you didn't feel all that great about the franchise after the 3rd. And if you really want to be depressed, watch They Live. So I hope everybody has a beautiful week. Read your booklets, watch your bonus features. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Later.